Hey, welcome back to the Vault Reviews, where we do album reviews instead of podcasts for a change. My name's Zan, and today we're going to be checking out a really awesome album that has inspired a lot of people. And Brent, I'll let you start it off with this band's album today.
The band is called Place of Skulls. I had never heard of them until we went to the record store a few weeks back. The name of the album is The Black Is Never Far. If you haven't heard of Place of Skulls, it is basically the band formed by Victor Griffin from Pentagram. And if you don't know Pentagram, well, shame on you.
That's true. That is a total. They are as Dan says, they are the American Black Sabbath. So
Yeah, and to be fair, shame on me. I'll blame myself too. They were a band I never really got into for the longest time. I'd heard of them, of course. I'd heard some of their stuff. I never really spent the time really getting into them until here, really the past couple months, honestly. Really the past like couple weeks for more than anything else. Anyway, Place of Skulls, I guess you would call it like a Christian doom.
yeah, I mean it sounds a lot like Pentagram. It's in that same vein. I think it's a little heavier, and I think it's a lot more versatile than Pentagram. But you can call it a Christian band, I guess. A lot of people don't look at them that way. And I mean, it's very evident in the lyrics that I'm sure we'll agree on. And here, I'm not the lyric guy, and I'm talking about lyrics. So obviously, that tells you how impactful this album is. It's got 13 tracks on it. Came out in 2006. And like you said, it's with Victor Griffin playing. It's got that heavy, heavy Pentagram vibe as far as the guitar tones and the riffs. But I think that's where it stops because the vocals are something totally on their own. It doesn't sound like Pentagram at all. Very, very good vocals, clean vocals, no screaming or anything like that. Very powerful. And the layouts of the songs are different. Every song's a little bit different, and that's one thing I really liked about this. I was kind of, I knew tons of Place of Skull songs before I bought this album, and I was like, well, I hope I'm just not getting an album that sounds everything like Pentagram, and I was just blown away. So, what was your first takeaways after listening to it?
I was floored. I had a ways to drive, so I'm like, you know what? I just bought it, haven't listened to it. We're gonna jam it while I'm driving on the road for a while. Just from the first little like guitar part at the first song, I was instantly hooked. I mean, it was just
Yeah,
fantastic.
I totally agree. That's one thing that I made sure to make a note of
Yeah,
as we were doing this review is that first song just loops you in. I mean, you're hooked from that first guitar riff. It's amazing.
yeah. But the thing I really like is, like you said, it is very. I say very. It's gonna sound redundant. The album is really, really varied. No two songs really sound the same. And even the songs within, there's a lot of changes and stuff, and the musicianship's amazing. The vocals are what really truly got me. I know I had heard Dan from Heavy Head say that this was the album that helped change his life, and I can honestly, after kind of digging into the lyrics and everything, I can completely relate with that.
Yeah, the lyrics, it's all inspiration. I guess that's the kind of most quote politically correct thing I could say. I mean, yeah, a lot of it is Christian based, but that doesn't matter. If you don't subscribe to that, you're still going to be very inspired by what Victor has to say in these songs. And like I said, I'm not a lyric guy, and for me to be able to pick out lyrics while I'm listening to this and being like, yeah, that's uplifting, that's inspirational, and it's still great music. I mean, that's saying something for me to pick that out. So let's talk about some of your favorite songs or kind of what parts of the album you like the best.
My favorite song is hands down the title track, "The Black Is Never Far." Just lyrically, I am a big lyric guy. I always have been. I always will be. And that album is, I consider this a Christian album. I know you said a lot of people don't. I do. And there's a lot of Christian music seems to lack a certain edge that a lot of kind of your secular music has. There's almost
Let me cut in. I would also say it kind of lacks a truth factor because I think a lot of
yeah,
bands will just we've talked with different people in the past on the show. A lot of people will put that Christian label on the band just to get a record deal or whatever. But
right.
this is one of those artists who I feel is legitimate about what he's saying.
Oh no, that's actually what I was getting ready to say. There's that edge there. I think honestly comes from a life lived, if that makes any sense. You can tell that the guy has struggled with stuff, that this is, you know, almost like a therapy type thing for him. I mean, that's why I said I can completely understand where Dan said, you know, that this, you know, kind of changed his life. And that's where, you know, the black is never far. And I don't want to dig too far into the lyrics and this and that, but that's what that song is saying. You know, that the black inside you is never that far away. And most Christian albums or, you know, Christian songs or anything like that don't touch on stuff like that. They don't get into, you know, the struggles, the actual real life things. A lot of, you know, like you said, the Christian label stuff is just there as kind of fluff. And even if they have a message, it's safe, it's calm. You know, it doesn't have that real true depth that I think, you know, you end up getting in a life of faith. Because by the time you get to where, you know, you're on your knees and you're trying to, you know, you're talking to God and you want to be saved and you're praying for a changed heart, just like, you know, the last song on this album, you're going to have scars and you're going to have struggles. And this album, I think, captures that perfectly in a way that most Christian albums can't even touch.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think a lot of, you know, Christian metal bands will put that label on there just to get a record deal, just to get a different, I guess, crowd. You know, so maybe they need that gimmick, if you want to call it that, to get more fans. But then I think a lot of other Christian musicians of different genres, that it's too positive. You know, I mean, the religion and the lifestyle is not something that's just. I mean, you're going to go through hard times. People that don't subscribe to Christianity are going to go through hard times.
Yep.
And this is an album that's going to definitely help get you out of that if you can give it a chance. And I'm just going back to the lyrics once again. I mean, for me to be able to pull these lyrics out and just realize how awesome they are is something that's amazing.
Yep, I absolutely agree. There's only a couple references, I think, that are explicit to any particular religion. And like you said, it's just, you know, you could, even if you needed to or wanted to, you could look past that and get some very inspirational message out of that. And it's just something that, I don't know, I was blown away, like you said, from that first guitar part all the way through. I mean, the album ends on basically an acoustic song. And I mean, you've just got, you know, this awesome rock music going on. And you get the inspirational lyrics, and it's honestly become one of my favorite albums that I've listened to in a very long time.
Let's jump right into music. You were talking about it. Wide range. There's a lot of acoustic stuff. Changed Heart, Darkest Hour, Black is Never Far. Some awesome acoustic stuff. And I'm not talking about, you know, that lame, like 2-note praise and worship. No, it's really awesome guitar work in this acoustic stuff. But then you also have all these varying sounds. It is a kind of a doom metal, you know, album at heart, and you're going to have those awesome riffs that you would expect from a Pentagram, expect from a Saint Vitus, that kind of thing. Very heavy, awesome riffs, and mixed in with the acoustic, it's great. And then even on my favorite song, which is Looking for a Reason, there's a saxophone. I think this song is probably the most complete song on this album because it's got kind of a softer, not acoustic, but softer, soothing guitar work in the first of it with the saxophone. And then it's got one of the like craziest wrong note doom riffs I've ever heard. So to me, that song is a total package. And then towards the end, you do have the Pentagram cover of Relentless, which it's fun. It's a good song. I wasn't expecting it, but, you know, throw it on there. I'll listen to it when it's on there. So.
Oh, yeah.
What else do you have to add on the album?
I was actually really impressed with the drumming. I mean, it's not overly technical. It's not, you know, blazing fast or anything like that. I mean, obviously you're not expecting, you know, Joey Jordison back there or anything.
Right.
But it was just, where it needed to be powerful, it was very powerful. Where it needed to be subdued, it was subdued. And it was just a really solid performance. And, you know, as my wife says, you know, I'm not a drummer anymore, but I will always be a drummer at heart. And that's something I always like to kind of draw attention to that if I can.
Wait a minute. She says you're not a drummer anymore?
Yeah, that's what she
says. Oh, that's pretty insulting.
Oh, yeah, it's bad. But, you know, that's the way it is. You know, she was a cheerleader. What does she know? But now, like I said, it's one of those. I was actually really impressed. I don't remember the exact song. I forgot to write it down because I'm an idiot apparently. But there's just some really good drumming on it, and it's just something. Like I said, it's solid where it needs to be solid, and it's just very well played. And the other thing that got me was just the overall solid guitar work. Um, I'm not, I can't say I'm really big into doom music or anything per se. I honestly don't know that I get it. I like a lot of the music. Don't get me wrong. I like a lot of the music. I guess I just don't get why it's doom.
I don't know. Yeah, I think Patrick from Heavy Heads, we were talking about that either on the show. I think it was on the show we did with him about how a lot of these bands get this kind of doom thing, and I don't know where the name comes from either, but I think that's just kind of what it gets all looped into. But you can call it metal, you can call it hard rock. I mean, it's just good, is what it is.
Exactly. It's just fantastic. And not being overly familiar with Victor Griffin, and his guitar work and everything, I was pleasantly surprised with everything on this album.
One other thing I'll add about the guitar work is that it is very, very, it's very, very varied from Pentagram. Some of the Pentagram stuff's a little bit more basic, a little bit more of your hard rock stuff, but this actually had kind of some more up tempo variety, which was kind of more the metal stuff. And solos are good. There's not a ton of them, and they're not overly technical, but who cares? I mean, they're awesome.
Yep, exactly. And like you said, there's a tone that's established in the very first song with the guitars, and it's in a couple of the other ones too. That was just so unique to me and just stuck out in my head. And once you listen to the first song, you'll completely understand exactly what I'm saying. And like I said, it comes through in a couple other songs, and it's just, I don't know, it just hooked me in immediately.
Nope, that's exactly, I feel the same way. That first opening riff gets stuck in my head all the time. It's crazy. All right, so we've come to the final part of this review, and that's where we rate it. So out of 1 to 5 stars, 5 being the best, what do you give this?
I'm honestly torn. There's one song that I don't really care for. It's not a bad song. It's the what's it called? We the Unrighteous, I think.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way about that song. There's something about it. I don't know.
Yeah, there's just a weirdness to it that I don't know. It's the only song I skip on the entire album, if that tells you anything. But if it comes on, it's better than a lot of what you hear. So I'm kind of torn because of the one song. I'm going to give it a 4.5. But in all honesty, it could very easily be a 5.
Yep, I'm gonna go with 4 3/4 because I want to give it a 5, but there's just, and that, like you said, that song is not bad, but there's just something about it that's just kind of weird to me. I cannot pinpoint it. Maybe actually, I think it might be something maybe to do with the vocal cadence.
Yeah.
Because the music is good, but yeah, I think that's probably the vocal cadence for me on that.
Yeah, there's something. I mean, the lyrics, I understand what he's saying lyrically, but at the same time, once you hear that song, maybe it's just, kind of the politically correct world we live in, but it kind of took me off guard. And I would like to think that that's not what bothers me about the song, because the vocal cadence is kind of strange. And like you said, the music's good, but the vocals are weird, and the lyrics are kind of, I don't know, they're just odd, is the best way I can describe it.
Still, though, this is a very glowing review for any album. I mean, there's not too many albums we've had that are 4.5 or 4.5 to 5. So this is definitely something you're going to have to check out. Get it on CD. That's how we both bought it, because that's where we found it. Heavy Heads Records, great prices on everything. So we found a couple of their cheap CDs. Of course, I'd like to get everything on vinyl, but it's more money, it's less available, and I don't care. I just want the good music when it comes down to it. So, yeah, this is definitely something that someone needs to check out. And have you heard much of the other stuff from Place of Skulls?
After listening to this album, I actually have started branching out into the rest of it, and I absolutely love it too.
Yeah, I do too. I think probably this one is, I don't want to spoil anything in case we do some reviews later. I think this one's probably my favorite, but this is, I would start with this one. I mean, this, and if you want to go back, kind of a tidbit for people who don't know, Wino from, Wino, St. Vitus, Spirit Caravan, all many other bands. He actually was in the band to start. He did the vocals and played guitar, I believe. and it even had it was kind of that same sound, but the vocals and everything were just different. So just kind of a tidbit of information if you want to track down some of the really old Place of Skulls stuff. But yeah, this is definitely an album to check out. Any thoughts before we close?
Just a note on the whole Wino thing, kind of hearing some of the stories about Wino, and then hearing that Place of Skulls was like kind of a Christian band, I was actually really shocked that he was in it. I don't know that I should be or not. I don't know enough about Wino or anything. It was just some of the story. It kind of shocked me, but at the same time, like I said, the album has an edge to it that I can almost appreciate that he was in it.
Yeah, I think it goes to show you that he seems like a guy that doesn't care about, opinions or agendas. He just wants to be in bands that make good music.
Right.
And that's what music's all about. That's what we're here to do, is expand people's musical tastes and have you go out and try something new. Maybe on the surface it's not comfortable with you. Maybe you don't like hard rock. Maybe you don't like rap. Maybe you don't like classical. I don't know. But that's what we're here for. We're here to get you into those positions where you can try something new. And, stuff like Place of Skulls, the day you walked into the store, I bet you didn't plan on buying that and finding it as one of your favorite records, did you?
No, actually I didn't. I'd kind of thought about picking it up at some point, just because, you had said it was awesome and Dan had talked about it some. And I'm like, okay, well, hey, yeah, I'll check it out sometime. And, you had actually posted a video and I listened to it. I'm like, oh, wow, yeah, this is cool. And then I saw it there and it was cheap. I'm like, oh, yeah, you're kidding me. I got to get it. So.
All right, yeah, Place of Skulls. The Black is Never Far. Excellent, excellent album. Everybody go buy it as soon as you possibly can. Thanks for listening to the reviews. You can continue to check us out at thevaultreviews.com. Send us an email, thevaultmusic@gmail.com. Twitter @thevaultmusic1. Facebook.com/thevaultreview or thevaultrvws. That's Facebook.com/thevaultrvws. That's probably the best place to find us. We put stuff on there all the time. We also have a YouTube page. And don't forget, if you like what you're hearing and you'd like to give back to us a little bit, we'll take donations to keep the lights on, essentially.
Right.
Patreon.com/thevault. You can donate 50 cents, $1, $100, whatever you want to give us. We're going to be grateful for, and we're going to take that money and keep investing it into continuing to put out products like what we're doing right now. So thanks a lot for listening. See ya.
Peace.